are we still on?
Would you call the roll, please?
Danielle McKenzie. Jason Blair.
Here.
Melissa Hunt. Here. Louis Williams.
Here.
Adam Webb.
Here.
Mark Ham.
Here.
Glenn Lewis.
Here. Would you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a proclamation to read here and to recognize the National Police Week 2020 and to honor the service and sacrifice of the law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas there are more than 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Moore Police Department. Whereas some 60,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in over 17,000 injuries. Whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, more than 21,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty, including one member of the Moore Police Department. Whereas the 21,910 names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all of the fallen officers and their families. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Glenn Lewis, Mayor, formally designate May 10th to the 16th, 2020 as Police Week in Moore, Oklahoma, and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in our communities across the nation, and to further remember their contributions, I direct all city flags to be flown at half staff for the week. Thank you. I understand you want to say a few words. Thanks.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mayor and council members, as you know, in the past we have a pretty robust Police Week activity schedule. Not a whole lot going on this year. We're going to focus on the social media aspect of it, and we'll have some videos out and other things. So, current world situation not going to allow us to do a lot of our large group gatherings. So, but I can answer any questions if you have any.
Who's the officer on the motorcycle on your social media page? Do you know?
No, sir.
Oh, you don't.
Did anybody?
Anybody know who that is? I even asked Dan Drake, and he didn't.
It's Throwback Monday. So. Any questions?
Appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Ladies, appreciate it all.
Appreciate you. Okay, item 2 is a consent document. Item A is approved minutes of the regular city council meeting held April 20th, 2020. Item B, receive the minutes of the regular planning commission meeting held March 10th, 2020. Item C, accept public water improvements to serve a portion of Lot 1, Block 1, Fritz Farm Edition, Section 2, being south of Southwest 19th Street and west of Telephone Road, also known as 740 Southwest 19th Street. Application by Eric USA. Item D is approve and ratify claims and expenditures for FY 2019-2020 in the amount of $2,649,427.91.
Move to approve.
All right, thank you.
Second.
It is a consent docket. Would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 3 is consider Envision Moore Plan 2040, Amendment number 3, located in the southeast quarter of Section 2, Township 10 North, Range 3 West, being north of Northeast 27th Street and west of Eastern Avenue, from employment mixed use and neighborhood commercial to light industrial application by BNSF Railroad Company.
Mayor and council, items 3 or 4 are companion items, and we would request that these be tabled until the May 18th meeting.
Do we have a motion to table items 3 and 4?
Yeah, make a motion, we table items 3 and 4 to a future meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All right, thank you. Would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item is tabled. Items are tabled, excuse me. Item number 5 is consider approval of a contract amendment with Mishek and Associates for the update of the stormwater design criteria in the amount of $10,000.
Mayor and council, this update is being accomplished through a committee. The committee has already met about 3 times, where a final draft is now out for review. We do anticipate having another meeting with the committee, maybe 2 or 3 times, plus an additional council meeting. And in addition, we've asked Mishek to prepare a chapter for low-impact development design. This will help us satisfy some of our stormwater quality requirements with DEQ. In order to do the additional meetings and the chapter on low-impact development, Mishek is requesting an additional $10,000 to their contract. We do have funds available that are already budgeted in this year's budget for this.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 6 is consider rezoning application number RZ 992 located in the northeast quarter of Section 27, Township 10 North, Range 3 West, being south of Southwest 19th Street and west of Telephone Road, from A2 Suburban Agricultural District to C3 PUD General Commercial District Plan Unit Development, and approve ordinance number 93820, application by Fritz Land Company. Planning Commission recommended approval of this 8-0.
Mayor and council, items number 6 and 7 on your agenda are companion items. This site is located south of Southwest 19th Street on the west side of Telephone Road. It is currently vacant. The applicant is proposing to develop the property for retail sales and services with an accessory fuel station. In order to develop the property as proposed, the property must be zoned for commercial development and platted. Public water and sewer are currently available along South Telephone Road. Southwest 25th Street will be extended from Telephone Road to Fritz Boulevard, and that does include a 12-inch water line. Additionally, the applicant will construct public roads on the south and west side of the property. There is no FEMA-designated floodplain located on this property, and a fee in lieu of detention will be required. The property is accessed from Telephone Road and Southwest 25th Street. This Southwest 25th Street will be providing an alternative route to bypass 19th Street and Telephone Road intersection. Those are plans that have been on the table for quite a while now. The intersection of Telephone Road and Southwest 25th Street will be signalized. The applicant is proposing to decrease the amount of bricking on the building from the 75% bricking that is required by city code. They wish to do this in order to utilize a metal siding that increases the energy efficiency of the building. The applicant is also proposing to increase the width of the curb cut from the 35 maximum set out by city code to a 40-foot maximum. In order to have these variances to city code, the applicant is proposing a planned unit development. By utilizing the PUD, the city may relax certain codes in exchange for amenities that would not otherwise be required. The proposed PUD does include approximately 35% increase in landscaping with 308 trees for the site. That does include irrigation and a 15% proposed open space, and 5% is required by code. I have put in front of you tonight a copy of their PUD request. It does show elevations that they are requesting, and these and a site plan on the very back that gives you an idea of how much landscaping that would be. The Envision More 2040 plan calls for this location to be community commercial. Developments within community commercial are medium intensity in nature. They provide a place for mixed-use commercial centers of local significance. This plan provides increased connectivity with the public road extensions and provides increased landscaping and open space. Staff does believe that the application is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. And staff recommends approval of both this application and the final plat. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
So this, what you presented, these drawings, this is what the store would look like, the exterior, as far as the brick and the
Yes.
corrugated metal?
Yes.
Do you know what percentage brick this proposal is?
It is, I believe, about 60% brick.
I appreciate them adding the extra landscaping. It looks like they went well above and beyond what is required in here. I recommend approval.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? No, would you like to vote, please?
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 7 is consider the final plat of Costco Moore Edition located in the northeast quarter of Section 27, Township 10 North, Range 3 West, being southwest 19th Street and west of Telephone Road. Application by Fritz Land Company. Planning Commission recommended approval 8-0 to Ward 3.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All right, thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? No, we should call for the vote, please.
Mark Ham,
Yes?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 8 is consider rezoning application number RZ 993 located in the northwest quarter of Section 10, Township 10 North, Range 3 West, being north of Northwest 24th Street and west of Janeway Avenue, from C4 Planned Unit Shopping Center Development District to C3 PD General Commercial District with a permissive use for construction, sales, and services, heavy, and approve ordinance number 93920, application by Jason Brassfield. Planning Commission recommended approval of this item 8-0. So Ward 2.
Mayor and council, this subject site is located in the northwest corner of Northwest 24th Street and Janeway Avenue. The property is developed with one existing building at the southeast corner of the property, which has not been occupied in several years. The applicant wishes to utilize the site for a landscape business with incidental outside storage. In order to utilize the property for the proposed landscape business with outdoor storage, a rezoning is required to a C3 with a permissive use for construction, sales, and services heavy. Public water and sewer are available along North Janeway to serve the site. Access to the site is provided from Northwest 24th Street and North Janeway Avenue, although there are no additional curb cuts being proposed at this time for Janeway Avenue. The subject site is located in a heavy commercial area. It is characterized by outdoor storage, as several businesses to the south and east of the site contain outdoor storage of vehicles, boats, and other items. Although the applicant intends to construct an accessory building for trucks and vehicles, the applicant does intend to store common landscaping materials outside. The Moore City Code does require that any outdoor storage should be screened by site-proof fence. The Envision More 2040 calls for this plan calls for this location to be employment mixed use. This land use accommodates a mix of office, residential, and other supporting uses, and is primarily located along arterials. Areas shown in the employment mixed use in the plan are typically being utilized as existing light industrial uses and heavy commercial uses today, but could redevelop in the coming years. Employment mixed use is a visionary land use category that requires a development or redevelopment of very large tracts of land. The plan does recognize that this may not be possible on a piecemeal scale and is satisfied to allow heavy business, commercial and industrial land uses to continue until such extensive change is made. Because this application does not seek to redevelop the area but occupy an existing structure on the lot, staff believes that it is in compliance with the intent of the Moore Vision 2040 plan. Permissive uses by definition are uses that may not be appropriate in all areas within the underlying zoning. That's due to potentially undesirable characteristics, and each permissive use application should be viewed as unique and evaluated on their own merits. Due to the location of the site with similar service uses in the area and the compliance with the envisioned Moore 2040 plan, staff recommends approval of this application contingent upon site-proof fencing required for all outdoor storage areas, equipment, and vehicles. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
What makes this specific application go in the heavy category?
It is the outdoor storage of the landscaping materials. That could include anything from, larger landscape boulders, heavier trucks that might be outside, and piles of aggregate that may be out there, which kicks it into the heavy category.
And what about, so they're utilizing the buildings that are already on the property, that little shopping strip, it's
Yes.
old, it's been there forever, that's
Yes.
gonna, so they're not building anything, the only additions would be the site-proof fencing?
The site-proof fencing, and there are plans for an outbuilding to store trucks, their vehicles.
Okay. Are we, I'm always glad when somebody's interested in, developing and building up on that part of Moore. There's not a lot happens up there. But are we, and it is an industrial area, but would still like it to kind of look, there are the apartments and there's a housing addition just to the west. So are we doing anything to require them to, so it doesn't look so industrial, but it could have a little bit of a softer look? Or
Well, the C3 zoning requirements would require any of the buildings to be a certain percentage of brick. And we would also require the site-proof fencing and.
Is that just like a corrugated metal fence, or?
It's architectural metal, so it's still the ribbed metal, but I would not classify that as corrugated metal.
Would it look a lot like what's over at 27th and Eastern? I think it's an electric company.
Yes.
Something like that?
Yes.
And then the last comment that I would have is Northwest 24th and Nottingham Way as well. Those streets have seen a lot of wear and tear and are in pretty poor shape. And if we're talking that there may be some bigger trucks coming in and out of there, is the city prepared to address that? Because that street is in dire need of repair. Do you know?
I cannot
Don't
answer
have any
that
plans
question.
to- Well, Brooks, I would just say that's something that we should really look at putting in the,
Nottingham is on our list of projects, so we hope to, we're still in the budget process to see what the sales tax looks like, but we're hoping to be able to begin to make progress on that in this next fiscal year.
okay.
So I may have zoned out while you were talking. Is there going to be an entrance off of Janeway or only off of 24?
They will be utilizing the existing entrance off of 24th Street. There's no planned curb cut to Janeway at this time.
Okay. All right, very good.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 9 is consider ordinance number 94320, amending Part 14, Chapter 3, Article B, Section 14-405 inventory of network node and node support poles by adding occupancy and use of public right-of-way fee for a small wireless facilities, providing for severability and providing for a repealer.
Mayor and council, it's been about a year since we have started seeing the small cell permit applications come through. Right now, it is just AT&T, but we would expect that all of the wireless carriers will eventually start to construct the small cell facilities. They're generally shorter poles placed within our right-of-way, and the state law does give the city the opportunity to charge them an annual usage fee of our right-of-way. Right now, state law has that fee capped at $20 per small cell facility. So we're not talking about a large amount of money at the moment, but as more carriers start to come in and place their infrastructure, we feel like this would be a fee that we should be charging. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So how much space does one of these small cell facilities take up? Is it purely just a pole? Or
It
is
is-
there a fenced-in area?
No, it
Or-
is just a pole.
Okay.
It's just a pole, a typical, like an
Telephone
OGD
type
pole.
pole?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And do you know what frequency they'll be placed? Like, are they ever like 100 yards or what?
That is solely up to each individual carrier, and they have the cell phone footprint that they have to, they're looking at weak areas in their overall larger cell phone tower network. So there's no set distance. What I've seen with AT&T so far is that they're fairly spaced out evenly around the city, but they are going to be in a lot of residential areas.
Are they doing anything cosmetically to make these not so intrusive, I guess? Like, you know, we have electric poles and light poles everywhere, and now we're gonna have these
I mean, we
sticking out.
have our minimum standards which dictate how much equipment can be on one of these poles, but they are generally wooden poles with like an antenna
Equipment.
type of equipment.
And no other cities have come up with anything to make it less of an eyesore?
At the time our ordinance was passed, we were one of the first ones to pass an ordinance. Cities from out of state have, but we have to be reasonable on any sort of requirements we make, because this legislature has stated that they can be here and that no city can effectively deny them.
So they make an application, say this is where we'd like to put one, and our organization approves or disapproves that?
Yes, we review it for things like height, the diameter of the actual antenna unit, things like that.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, thank
So,
you. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
yes.
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 10 is to consider the purchase of a 2020 Ford Explorer 4-door 4x2 base model SUV from the police department in the amount of $27,000, it should be for the police department, in the amount of $27,724 off the state contract number SW035 from Bill Nye Ford.
Honorable Mayor, Council, this is a previously budgeted item purchased off state contract to replace a vehicle that has reached its service life. It is a 2020 Ford Explorer, consistent in style to the rest of our vehicles.
Make a motion to approve?
Second the motion.
Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Have you guys ever considered looking at the price difference between the Explorer and the Expedition? I know the Expedition has a lot more room, and the price difference I don't think is a couple $100 more.
I have not, no sir, no, I don't have any knowledge of that either.
Okay. Would you call for the vote, please? Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Louis Williams,
Yes.
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 11 is consider the budgeted purchase of 6 replacement handheld mobile radios from the Motorola Solutions Incorporated off-state contract number SW1053M at a cost of $25,598.28.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a budgeted item to purchase 6 Motorola handheld radios to replace some of our radios that were originally purchased in 2006. Those radios are beyond their service life, and this is off of the state contract through Motorola Solutions.
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item?
You just hold on to those 6 radios, or will they be discarded, or?
No, we just hold on to them, and they're, I don't know,
The backup
Kevin
or-
would know if they're completely taken off the list, but
I mean,
as of right now, we just
Are they just,
put them in.
can they still be used in the event?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, we just keep them in storage, and if we need them, then we
Right.
can get them out.
gotcha. Thank you.
All right.
Would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes,
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 12 is consider approving a contract for engineering services with Cabinus Engineering LLC in the amount not to exceed $40,000 for design of water line and sanitary sewer line relocations for the Wood River Bridge replacement on State Highway 37 Southwest 4th Street project east of Janeway Avenue.
Mayor and council, as the mayor said, Highway 37 and Southwest 4th Street, ODOT is replacing the box structure just located east of Janeway. As part of the relocation of that, the city has multiple sewer lines on the south side and 1 or 2 on the north side. And we have one water line that is on the north side that requires relocation as part of that project. And so what this contract does is provides a hiring Cabinus Engineering to do the design for the relocation of those sewer lines and water lines within that right-of-way that have to be relocated for the construction of that bridge. And the contracted amount is a design fee of not to exceed $40,000. The funding source is the Moore Public Works Authority.
So are these lines that run east and west or north and south?
Both. We have some that go on the bridge structure itself is actually going to be lowered 3 feet on the or 2 feet on the north end and 3 feet on the south end of 4th Street. And we do have a sewer line, a 24-inch sewer line that's encased and goes underneath the existing box. And of course, by lowering it 3 feet, we have to relocate that. And then we also have a 24-inch that crosses, sewer line that crosses 4th Street from north to south. And that has to be possibly relocated at this time.
I'd make a motion that we approve the
Second.
project.
Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item?
Do you have any idea when ODOT wants to begin?
My understanding that the actual bridge reconstruction won't start till either late 2020 or early 2021. But they would like to have our plans to them by September and start our relocations around that time of this year.
And will they shut 4th Street down?
No,
or
they're going
half?
to reconstruct the bridge half at a time, and so it'll be narrowed down to 2 lanes, one lane in each direction,
Okay.
east and west.
All right. Thank you.
Well, the alternative was to go through the neighborhood, and this is much better.
I agree, still young.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve.
Oh, we've already done that.
Oh,
We
sorry.
already have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote, please? Thank you.
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 13 is consider approving a contract for engineering services with Reese and Nichols Incorporated in the amount of $93,900 to comply with the 2018 America's Water Infrastructure Act to conduct a risk and resiliency assessment of the City of Moore's water system and develop corresponding emergency response plans.
Mayor and Council, in October of 2018, Congress signed into law the America's Water Infrastructure Act, and it requires utilities to conduct a risk and resilience assessment for our water system, every community's water system, and then upon completion of that, develop a corresponding emergency response plan to mitigate or reduce the risk. Basically, this project will be in two phases. The timing of the projects is dependent, for each community, is dependent on the size of the community. Those communities that serve more than 100,000, they already had to complete their risk assessment by March 31st of this year. We fall into that category of 50,000 to more than 50,000 population and less than 100,000. And therefore, our deadline for completing the risk and resilience assessment is December 31st of this year. Once we complete the risk and resilience assessment, then we must submit to EPA that we have completed that assessment and it is in compliance with the act that Congress implemented. Then phase 2 is the emergency response plan, and our time frame to complete the response plan is that we need to have that completed within 180 days after completion of the assessment, which would be June 30th of 2021. And again, we would have to submit a self-certification to EPA indicating that we meet all of the requirements with our emergency response plan. Essentially, this is a unfunded mandate by the federal government, and the municipalities are left with meeting the compliance of this mandate. The fee for this is for both phase 1 and phase 2 is $93,900. And the funding source, again, is the Moore Public Works Authority.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? No, would you go for the vote?
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 14 is consider approving a contract for engineering and environmental services with Meshach and Associates LLC in the amount of $59,696.18 to conduct a field topographic survey of the North Fork River through Veterans Park, prepare an application for a nationwide permit, and develop construction plans to install gabion baskets to address bank erosions on the North Fork River through the park.
Mayor and Council, if you recall that we provided you a presentation of two alternatives, and the favorable alternative was to go ahead and construct gabion baskets to correct the erosion control as the Little River, North Fork of Little River goes through the Veterans Park. As we began that process and looked at it, basically the North Fork of the Little River is a blue line stream on the USGS maps, which basically means that it is a stream that essentially runs all the time or nearly all the time. And because of that, then that requires us to get an Army 404 permit with the Corps of Engineers, and along with that requires us to do several environmental and address several environmental issues. And so we wanted to go forward and utilize the expertise of Meshach that works with that every day. As an example, we've just received a letter from an archaeological survey where we send out information that we're going to move forward with a project of this nature, and apparently we are required to do an environmental field survey of this area because of, not that any archaeological artifacts have been found, but that the landscape or the terrain of the land is such that there is a high probability that there could be. So therefore, we have to do a small field survey with an archaeological survey that will come back to you later. But
I
that
did
just
see-
kind of gives you the idea of you know, the mitigation that we have to go through as we go through trying to get this nationwide permit with the Corps of Engineers.
I saw some citizens out there with metal detectors with high hopes the other day, so maybe
There you
maybe that was the reasoning. Did we make any progress about a natural feature, Brooks, or are we looking at that down the road still?
We're still looking at that. We've gotten a couple of ideas from Anthony McDermott, and so we asked him to provide us with some.
Okay, thanks.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the vote? Would you no other discussion?
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams,
Yes.
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 15 is consider approval of a one-year extension of the Public Works Maintenance Contract with Silver Star Construction Incorporated.
Mayor and council, back in June of 2014, you received bids and later entered into an agreement with Silver Star Construction for a public works maintenance contract that includes various professional services to include street repairs, drainage improvements, sidewalks, park improvements, as well as other typical construction type improvements. That contract had a term for 5 years with an additional, with 5 one-year options. Last year, we approved the first additional option. This year would be the second additional option. And so therefore, this contract would require us to go out to rebid in the year 2024. They do provide a 5 to 6 man crew that's exclusively dedicated to the city of Moore. It does give the city access to all of their equipment that they have for any type of construction. And as you know, they're a large company located here in Moore, and they do give us some very reasonable fees for those rates and hours. We recently went out and compared their prices with some projects that we had bid through the capital improvements program, and their fees were provided a significant savings to the city of Moore. And so they are requesting in this initial year, or year 2 of the second 5-year option, they are requesting a 1.5% increase to fund some employee increases and some equipment and operating costs that have increased slightly. The funding source for this is typically it's Fund 12, which is the half-cent sales tax for improvements, and then another fund that's utilized quite a bit is Fund 13 for the quarter-cent sales tax for park improvements. We would ask that you go ahead and approve this contract.
I don't know if you remember that you weren't here at the time. The last big tornado that we had a problem with FEMA because we didn't have a contract in place at the time. That's one of the reasons we carry this with Silver Star. That if we do have a disaster, then we can start cleanup right away. We don't have to wait the 60 days. So that's one of the reasons we carry this.
Yeah.
And they're always really quick to respond. I appreciate all the work they do.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have we had I know we had some issues with Telephone Road from like 19th to 34th Street. Did we ever get those satisfactorily addressed? I think we did some sampling on that roadway.
We hired Terracon to do some research as to what may be the cause of what you've seen is some cracking that has become fairly severe. And there were 4 subdivisions that we looked at. One was Lost Creek, Rock, Apple Valley. I just can't remember all of them, but there were 4 subdivisions, and then Telephone Road from 19th. And basically, they couldn't pinpoint what the exact problem was. One of the problems that they did identify is that sometimes the use of recycled asphalt has the potential to gather contaminants as it sits in the yard, and then when they go to develop it put it into asphalt and bind it with the oils and so forth and the aggregates, that it sometimes doesn't bind as well and possibly can become brittle. And that seems to be part of what we're experiencing. We have recently found a company that has a specialized patented solution that they use for potholing, and we had them come in and use a sample. They did a couple of sample streets, and they appear to be holding up very well. We want to monitor them for a little bit longer to see how it holds up over time. They have some streets in the Dallas area that we had planned to go down and look at to see how they've held up, that have been using this chemical product and compound for about 15 years. And because of the COVID-19 coronavirus, we haven't had a chance to get down and take a look at it. But it has some potential. But to finalize the answer to your question, they couldn't pinpoint the exact problem because there's a combination of some things that could have occurred. So we're continuing to look at different options, and we think that this might be a good option for us.
Okay.
One thing in the contract, we are not using recycled asphalt as a result of that. And if we find that, we get the same results in the future with regular virgin asphalt, then, obviously then that wasn't the problem.
But it appears that the roadway was constructed properly and met all of the requirements.
I don't think that it was a construction problem in the performance of the construction. It just, the material didn't bind well with the asphalt and the oil, and the construction methods that were used then, perhaps one of the things that they addressed was when you apply to the subgrade a stabilization, that it's very hard to get a uniform mix of the stabilized product that you're using for your subgrade, and that perhaps that was part of the problem, and we just don't know exactly. Okay. So we're looking at all of those alternatives of correcting it.
We have a motion and a second.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? If not, you call for the
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 16 is consider ordinance number 94120, amending Part 17 Utilities, Chapter 2 Garbage and Refuge Collection, Section 17-201, definitions, and Section 17-202, receptacles of the Moore Municipal Code, requiring yard trash and trash clippings to be bagged and placed in poly carts for pickup, providing for repealer, providing for severability, and declaring an emergency.
Mayor and Council, this ordinance is requiring that yard waste, which includes grass clippings, be placed inside a polycart. We initially began this procedure while under one of our emergency proclamations. And what this ordinance does here is that it would make it, basically it would be permanent. There's also a change in the fee for the second polycart, and that is later on in the agenda under the fee schedule. I can answer any questions that you may have, and Richard Sandifer is here as well. He would be able to answer any questions as well.
Yeah, so this is basically a labor issue, that it's too labor intensive for us to pick it up. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, and also there was a health and safety issue with our sanitation
Right.
workers actually handling the bags.
Right.
This brings us in line with some of the surrounding communities.
That is correct. I did a check on that. I know that Edmond does it this way. Oklahoma City also does it this way, and Dell City does. Norman.
Oklahoma City is not permanent yet, is it?
That's not. They're still under the emergency.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, they have not changed theirs permanent.
Yes.
And then the new fee would be, so we'd be, anybody who wanted to continue to bag clippings, assuming they couldn't fit it in their one cart, their bill would go up $7.
The second cart would be $7. Yes.
Okay.
That's down from 9 $9, is that?
$10.50.
Yes.
Well, so some people's bill will go down, some people's will go up, because if you only have one cart and you need a second cart,
That-
your bill's
that's
gonna go up.
And then a third or fourth cart is still the original price. That didn't go
Okay.
down. Yes.
And Will, you know, there's some people that are really passionate about their lawn, put a lot of care, and during the spring, they could have 15, 20 bags of thatch. So what are they gonna do with it? It's not obviously gonna fit in 2 containers. Do they have to schedule a trash pickup day, or?
That'd be one option. They could also get a third or a fourth poly cart
Yeah.
if they wanted to. But what I would probably recommend would be
I
to,
typically stage mine over several weeks.
and that's what I would recommend.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? Would you call for the vote, please?
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
No.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
No.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes. What was the count?
2.
Passed.
Item carries. Item number 17 is consider approval of an emergency provision for ordinance number 94120, it being immediately necessary for the preservation of peace, health, and safety in the public good of the city of Moore and the inhabitants thereof, that the provisions of this ordinance be put into full force and effect, and emergency is hereby declared to exist by reason whereof this ordinance shall take effect and be in full force and effect from and after the day provided herein as provided by law.
Mayor and Council, this is just the emergency provision of this previous ordinance. As I stated before, it deals with really the health and safety of our sanitation workers and the public.
Okay,
Motion.
thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Would you call the vote if there's no other discussion on this item?
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 18 is consider adoption of resolution number 5420, adopting the schedule of fees and charges effective upon approval and remaining in effect until modified, amended, or repealed, and repealing all prior inconsistent fees.
Mayor and Council, this is an update to the fee schedule. This has the second polycart fee incorporated in this. It also has the right-of-way fee that Elizabeth had presented earlier this evening. There is also some changes, and I shouldn't say changes, they are corrections. There is a table in the old fee schedule, and for whatever reason, there was a line that was deleted from the table. So this basically is just correcting an error. There was also some small changes from the Parks and Rec over there at the station on outside food and drink, and they no longer rent umbrellas, so that was deleted. That's the only changes to the fee schedule.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? If not, would you call for the vote?
Jason Blair,
Yes.
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb,
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 19 is consider resolution number 5520, adopting the amendment to the City of Moore Citizens Participation Plan.
Mayor and Council, the city's Citizen Participation Plan was first approved in August of 2015. It's a requirement to receive community development block grants. To meet federal regulations, there must be a 30-day comment period for all action plans and action plan amendments. However, HUD has issued a waiver for the 30-day comment period in order to allocate funding quickly in response to COVID-19. The waiver changes the comment period to 5 days. This amendment to the plan changes the comment period to 5 days for any action plans or action plan amendments involving COVID-19. Staff recommends approval.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 20 is consider resolution number 95620, adopting the substantial amendment of the 2019 Community Block Grant Action Plan and authorize the mayor to submit the plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Mayor and Council, on March 27th, President Trump signed the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, also known as the CARES Act. The CARES Act authorized funds to respond to the growing effects of the pandemic. On April 2nd, HUD allocated CDBG COVID-19 funds to the City of Moore in the amount of $200,472. These funds are to assist in the prevention, preparation for, and respond to the coronavirus. Staff contacted several public service agencies and the CDBG Advisory Committee to define the most critical needs of our community. It was determined that rental, mortgage, and utility assistance, home-delivered meals for seniors, medical supplies, and grocery assistance were the most critical needs. Staff recommends the following allocations for these COVID-19 funds. Rental, mortgage, utility assistance, $75,000. Home-delivered meals for seniors, $29,243.65. The Moore Food and Resource Center, a grocery assistance program, $66,030. The Moore Faith Medical Clinic, $1,000 for medical supplies. And the remaining $29,198.35 is currently allocated to administration. It's not anticipated that we'll use that $29,000 for administration. We anticipate that there will be another need that'll arise, or maybe more funds will need to be allocated to the other programs identified. So this is kind of a placeholder until that's determined. Staff recommends approval of the amendment to the 2019 action plan incorporating the supplemental CDBG funds for the COVID-19 response.
Motion approved.
Yeah, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? I want to thank the committee that did this, and Mark, you and Linda are both on this. Thank you very much. It's a good idea. So with that being said, would you call for the vote?
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 21 is consider approval of an agreement with Aging Services to provide home-delivered meals to homebound senior adults in Moore using Community Block Development Grant COVID-19 funds. And I assume that number here is that the $29,000?
Yes.
$243.65?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion for that?
Motion to approve.
Second motion?
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or discussion? If not, would you call for the vote?
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 22 is consider approval of an agreement with the Central Oklahoma Community Action Agency to provide a utility and rental mortgage assistance program for more residents using Community Development Block Grant COVID-19 funds.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Would you call for the vote on that one?
Mark Ham.
Yes?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 23 is consider approval of an agreement with the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma to provide grocery assistance to residents of Moore using the Community Development Block Grant COVID-19 funds.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you both. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this one? If not, would you call for the vote, please?
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham,
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Item number 24 is consider approval of an agreement with the Moore Faith Medical Clinic to provide free medical care to low-income residents of Moore using Community Development Block Grant COVID-19 funds.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you both. Any other discussion on this item? I have one thing. If there's money left over from the administration part of it, I'd like to see it go to this fund. This is good, especially right now when people don't have any money and they're still getting sick.
Yes, absolutely. I've been in touch with Mr. Evans, and he knows that. He actually only requested 500, and I told him I'm going to go ahead and give him 1,000 just in case anything pops up, but he knows that there's more money available
I
if he needs
guarantee
it.
that's not enough. For sure. Would you call for the vote, please?
Melissa Hunt,
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. Good job, Cal. Thank you.
Thanks.
At this time, we'll recess the city council meeting and convene the Moore Public Works Authority meeting. Item 25 is a consent docket. Item A is receive and approve the minutes of the regular Moore Public Works Authority meeting held April 20th, 2020. Item B is approve and ratify claims and expenditures for FY 2019-2020 in the amount of $1,037,077.29.
Motion to approve.
Second the motion.
All right, thank you. I don't know who made it first, but it was a tie.
Jason.
It was a tie. Well, thanks. It's funny. All right, would you call for the vote, please? It's a consent docket.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. At this time, we'll recess the Moore Public Works Authority meeting and convene the Moore Risk Management meeting. Item number 26 is the consent docket. Item A is accept the minutes of the regular Moore Risk Management meeting held April 20th, 2020. Item B, approve and ratify claims and expenditures for FY 2019-2020 in the amount of $198,718.04.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is a consent docket. Would you please call for the vote?
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, item carries. At this time, we'll recess the Moore Risk Management meeting and can reconvene the city council meeting. Item 27 is, item A, citizens forum for items not on the agenda. We have one person signed up to speak, Tim Harper.
Thank you for hearing me out.
Sure. Would you please say your name and address for the record, please?
Timothy Harper, 1799 Moran Road in Choctaw.
Go ahead.
Okay. We all know that the cruising on 12th Street has picked up recently and is becoming more popular. And last week I was there and I witnessed the police block off the road at the bridge over I-35. And I went and spoke with them about that and why they did it. And they said that it was the chief's idea. And so I decided to speak with some of the officers and some of the people down at the police department to find out why they did that. And in my discovery, I also asked for open records requests on how many noise complaints were made over that weekend between 6 p.m. and 11 o'clock at night. And on Friday, there was 4 complaints for noise, and on Saturday, only 3 complaints were made between that time period. I also spoke with the supervisor of dispatch, who said that most of the calls came in were from people that just didn't like it. So they were calling in to see if anything could be done to shut it down because they were not happy with people exercising their the activity of cruising their cars on the weekend nights. And I participated in it, and from what I witnessed, it was an orderly event. I didn't see too much excessive noise. Some of the people do have fairly large vehicles, but if you purchase a house on 12th Street, you're going to expect to hear some noise. You're not buying a house out in the country anywhere, so it's kind of to be expected. And by speaking with the public information officer of the police department, they said that the chief's decision was made on his experience with cruising 20 years ago, around 1992, 93, 94, in that time frame. So he's applying those demographics to what's going on today. And what I saw, from what I remember cruising in the day, was a lot of younger crowd that was drinking, doing stuff they shouldn't. I did not see any of that this time. And to wrap it up, so I don't take too much of your time here, I appreciate you giving me the time to talk. I'd like to see us have the ability to travel up and down 12th Street all night long. I know driving a vehicle is a privilege, but I have my driver's license, and I'm like many other people. My vehicle is legal. It's not loud. I don't play my music loud. I obey the traffic and the ordinances, such as noise ordinances, traffic laws. And if I am within my legal right to drive up and down a street as many times as I want, I'd like to see if the city could respect those of us who are abiding by the law as law-abiding citizens, the right to do that. Now, speaking with the PIO, they said it was what they want to do is they want to stop noise from occurring after 10 p.m. and until midnight. But what I'd like to see the police department do is address those issues on a case-by-case basis. If they catch somebody making noise or burning rubber or playing their radio too loud, cite them or remind them that after 10 we'd like to have it quieter. That way we can just drive up and down or stand in parking lots and talk cars without having the event interrupted. I think that's about it that I was going to bring up. And I just wanted to have my voice heard. We'd like to see the event go on as late, as long as we're not disturbing anyone. I don't feel we should have our ability to enjoy the event interrupted without reason. Now, if the noise picks up, the behavior deteriorates, then I support them shutting the street at 10. But from what I saw, it wasn't not necessary at this time. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you letting me speak.
Thank you.
I have gotten some complaints from the residents in that area for the noise and also the traffic and the speeding in the Crest parking lot. O'Reilly, there's been some in O'Reilly's, but O'Reilly's is allowing it. I don't know that Crest is completely happy with all of the gathering in their parking lot, which is affecting their residents. So I do think while they have the right to do it, we also have to respect the rights of our citizens and those folks that do live along 12th Street. While there may be some noise, I still think we need to be respectful of those folks.
We want to let people enjoy being outside and exercising, something to do during COVID for sure. But while they may have gotten 4 complaints, I got well over 4 through my email and phone calls and texts. Actually, I received a lot, just as many as I have over probably the 3rd biggest issue I've received a lot of input on, and people against this actually. So I think it'll just be, the chief is, helping us out by trying to find a good balance between the residents and for the people like you, because I'm kind of like you. I would want to be out there too and out with people and friends and talk cars. That sounds amazing. But at the same time, with all the flood of negativity we've gotten through our phones of people against it, we'll just have to try to find a good balance between everything.
Part of the dilemma that we're struggling with is there are many people like you that just want to enjoy it, participate, but then we have the people that insist on abusing the situation, and trying to find a way to find a happy medium is difficult, and we'll just continue to work on it and try to get there.
So I appreciate the police presence out there to making sure everything is running the way it should.
Absolutely.
What time do our city parks close on the weekends? Do you know?
Midnight?
11, right?
Midnight?
I think it's 11. Isn't it 11?
I think Veterans is midnight for running, but that's running, so.
Yeah.
They close the restaurant at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like 11 and opens up at 6 or something next morning. Yeah.
Well,
I get both sides of the argument. I mean, it's tough.
I just got an email. This guy wants to know, why don't you go? Well, I'll leave out the ex-police.
Yeah.
Why don't you go to Choctaw and experience it there?
We got some colorful emails
Yeah.
on this.
Just saying, come tomorrow.
The negative voices tend to always be louder than
Yes.
the positive voices.
I would just, closing the bridge down, I was surprised about that, and want to to be supportive of you and our staff. But, you know, maybe we, you know, consider some other options versus closing the street, whether it be, you know, finding the violators. I know that it increases manpower and money and maybe overtime, you know, that just, I don't know, just closing the street down was a lot. I wasn't out, I could hear them, but I wouldn't cruise at 12.
No, we understand people like to do this, and, you know, I've had several discussions with the police chief, and I will continue to have more, and like Councilman Williams said, we'll try and find the happy medium and respect the property owner's rights, but, you know, the law-abiding citizens that want to drive on the street and respect their rights too.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak? There's no one signed up. Any items from the city council or trustees?
Brooks, are you going to say anything about the water billing?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to say thank you to all the citizens who are doing the social distancing, who have stayed home, who use the gloves. I appreciate all that you do, and continue doing that. Distance yourself from one another, and hopefully we get over this a lot sooner. The last 2 days, I haven't heard of any COVID cases in our county and in Metro in particular. So hopefully we'll keep it up, and that'll continue to get better each day. So with that being said, any items from the city manager?
Yes, Mayor and Council. This is the first in-person official council meeting for our police chief, Todd Gibson, and our parks director, Sue Wood. So we'd like to welcome them. Work is ongoing on our storm shelter in City Hall. They've poured the floor, and they're in the process of beginning to work on the wall. So it's moving along very well. So we're happy that that's happening. We are still in discussions isn't the right word, but we're still in the information gathering process with Elevon as far as what happened with the utility billing. They think they're fairly close to finding out what happened and getting us that information. We're still waiting for some more data so we can see some things on our end, just see what you know, what exactly happened and how many actual accounts have been impacted. I would like to thank Betty Kane and her staff and Sarah Hembry and the customer service staff for their quick mobilization to be able to issue refund checks and address concerns of our citizens. And just, I mean, they geared up real quickly. They've already issued 79 checks and worked numerous other complaints and helped people, you know, figure out exactly what happened and if they were owed money or not. So kudos to them for all their hard work over the last few days, because it was beginning to escalate, and thanks to them, it's certainly calmed down quite a bit.
How long did it take for this company to get back with us when you reached out to them initially? I just want that to be public.
Initially, we heard something on the second day, I believe.
Okay.
I think we first tried to make contact on a Thursday, and we heard something back on a Friday. The hope was that we were going to hear something more on Monday or certainly Tuesday at the latest, and we didn't. And so then it was, okay, we've got to mobilize and start cutting refund checks for our utility customers, because this isn't going to get resolved as quickly as we'd hoped. And then last Friday, we heard back from them. We were able to exchange some other emails. And so they're in the process of getting this resolved. We've heard something today, but it's certainly not as consistent as what I would have liked, and it would have been nice last week if they would have said, you know, we don't know, which I know doesn't solve any problems, but at least we know that they're in contact and they're actually actively working it.
Who are we going to replace them with?
Open Edge, we've already done that, Mayor.
Open ends?
Right. This
Open Edge.
this happened after they had already been replaced, correct?
This was their last batch to process.
Okay. The last batch,
Yeah,
okay.
and so
That makes more sense.
yeah, so beginning one of the batches in January, I believe, the later batches in January, we were with Open Edge, and so we're moving forward with them. This is just this last thing that's, you know, I don't know what's happened, and hopefully we'll have an answer here in the next few days, and be happy to report to council just what it was. You know, the bad thing is it certainly did inconvenience some of our water customers. The good thing is, just from a city perspective, is that the total dollars have not been all that significant, and so you know, we were certainly concerned about that, because when you get lots of calls and you don't have the data, it's hard to get your arms around it. So, like I said,
Have they been helpful in any way in providing data? Or, I mean, what would you rate their ability to take ownership of this issue and then to supply support during this time? How helpful have they been?
Well, other than they're looking at it, that's been about it. So, I mean,
So they just said it happened, we don't know, and that was
Yeah,
the response. And so we had to take action.
Yeah, we had to take action because they couldn't give us a time frame. I mean, in a much better scenario, they would have said, okay, this is what we think happened, and we will credit everyone's bank account or credit card, whichever the case may be, on, you know, by noon on Wednesday. Right. You know, but we couldn't get a time frame from them. So, you know, and people need their refunds. I mean, with the coronavirus and job loss and the economy and everything, I mean, it was one of these things, you know, we had to take action, and so we did that. And we still haven't gotten a response from them. We've asked for some data, we haven't gotten that.
So essentially, we've cleaned up their mess that they caused.
Right.
Okay. I just want that to be clear to the citizens that the city of Moore doesn't have this money.
Well, I mean, we did. They processed the batch, and there was, while they were processing it, we didn't have the money that was taken out of the accounts. We did ultimately get the money. Okay. So then the question is, how much of it are we going to have to refund? So, for instance, you know, we've cut 79 checks. I don't know how many calls customer service got. I'm sure it seems like much more than 79, but you know, is it one of those situations where it was going to impact a couple of hundred people or a couple of thousand people? I mean, we've asked for a report just so we could know what our parameters are, because I mean that impacts our decisions. You know, is it is it 79 people and that's really about it, or is it 2,000 people? I mean, well, that's a whole different thing. And so, I mean, that's been the most frustrating. And you know, fortunately, they're at least in contact with us as far as providing information. No, I mean, they haven't really provided anything yet. So,
well, I appreciate you, Brooks, and the city staff stepping up to try to find a solution on behalf of our citizens for this company messing up. So,
well, thank you. I mean, it was important to everybody, so we had to do that. And again, kudos to Betty and Sarah for everything that they did, because I mean, they're the ones that made it happen.
So at the end of the day, though, monetarily, this should be a wash, other than our manpower that we've extended.
Right. And so it's just a matter of, you know, we'll find out what the exposure is, and then begin to shrink it and resolve everything. It's going to take a while, but I'm just glad that I'm able to stand up here tonight and say we've cut 79 checks, and maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel, as opposed to we're cutting checks just as fast as we can.
Well, we may actually have to shift from a defensive mode to an offensive mode, because at some point there may be people that they got hit more than once and are not aware of it.
Correct.
And so we'll have to reach out to those people and make that right in some cases.
Correct. So, yeah, we will continue to work on that. The station is back open and had a pretty good turnout over the first 3 days. Last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had 202 scans on Friday, 136 on Saturday, and 126 on Sunday. So, talking with Sue, people are excited to be back, and so I'm glad that the station's open and people can begin to get back to some normalcy in their lives. Our budget meetings, individual meetings with the council members, start on May the 13th. I know some of the meetings have been scheduled, so I'll have Rhonda contact the rest of the council members that haven't got their meeting scheduled yet, and so we will go from there. Now that the restrictions are beginning to end, we will schedule a meeting on Old Town Park and get the committee caught up on that, as far as the depot and how that stands and the cost, and see how the committee would like to proceed on that. And then also the Eastern and 12th Street projects, the resurfacing projects. So we'll get those meetings scheduled. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brooks.
I do have one other thing to say. Thank you, Mark, for coming up in meetings. You're not the only ones here.
Yeah, I got
And
to
everybody
make
else.
motions. That was fun. I'm going to do that in a while.
Thank you. But item number 28 is adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Thank you. Let's call for the vote, please.
Jason Blair.
Yes.
Melissa Hunt.
Yes.
Louis Williams.
Yes.
Adam Webb.
Yes.
Mark Ham.
Yes.
Glenn Lewis.
Yes, thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Just right, I don't know. I think it's sitting, I think it's working from home in my career. When I see it, like after sitting for a week, you know.
I wondered if that was who you were. Big deal to us. We've been trying to keep it under wraps and not knowing for sure, but we're excited. Always don't know we're here. Thank you very much. Glad you're here.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
So just complete negligence.
Danielle was here. Where was Danielle?
I've been in the back. Yep.
This is the first place I've gone in front of other people without a mask on too. It has me a little stressed out.
I was wondering if maybe they didn't have anybody in their building.
You know, I trust you because I know that you're my horse.
Oh, yeah. We've been with her autoimmune and,
Yeah.
I mean,
I've had my temperature checked twice.
You're good.
I can't say that. I can't say that at all.
I had doctor's appointments.
Okay.
For the COVID?
No.
Were they testing for the?
No.
Testing for the Rona?
I'm diabetic,
ready for your video.
and so, so I'm having
I got
eye issues.
I got a deal from FEMA today. We may have some
A while back, and they put
COVID.
me
I need
actually
a couple $100,000 possibly.
Really?
So
For
I'm going
our
every
projects
month.
for
They put me,
feeding
I am still diabetic.
mortgage assistance.
They dilate my
They
eyes
liked
to the
our
point they can
deal
see
that
so
we're
deep
doing.
in my soul. There's no telling what they're
They said they
finding.
may have sent you money so
It may not be Jesus they're seeing.
I'm always worried about trying to give you money from the federal
So,
government.
anyway, I go through that once a month.
Yeah, my wife, she got diagnosed probably 7 years ago. Type 1.
Now, too, so.
Yeah, she's one and her eyesight has gone, she was negative 0.75 when she started touching the car. I mean, it is just accelerating.
So I've got diabetic macular edema.
Really?
So it's where the retina begins to thicken and creates cloudy spots in your vision. So it's just like, and the interesting thing is my left eye, which is my dominant eye, and it's dead square in the center. Right, dead square in the center. You're constantly looking to the side, but your right eye overcompensates for all of that. So it really doesn't affect me right now, but
at some point
we're trying to get it fixed.
Progressive, yeah. No, sorry, Louis.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Shouldn't eat all that sugar.
Well, that's kind of, I went to the, I was telling Jason, I went to the urgent care when all this kicked off because my blood pressure was so high. She's like, well, do you know this? I was like, oh no, I've been a doctor in 8 years. And she said, excuse me? I said, I've been a doctor in 8 years.
I've gone to the same doctor, my family doctor, I've gone to the same doctor for about 25 years, and he's dropped me off his client list 3 times. Because I didn't go.
And so I need to go, I feel like I need to go get tested for diabetes.
I would call up and say, hey, I need to come see the doctor, I'm not feeling well.
You gotta come fill out a new patient app.
And then they want us to.
I know, my wife battles it. Matter of fact, most meetings, for Dexcom meetings going on.
It's like, what would that be easier? Just the sun.
It's crazy.
Miss Stilgard Brooks is a
She's type 1.5, so she'll give herself
starting to stem the G like he does. That's when you know you got a mate, right?
But I'm
I'm back at the office today. Yeah, went back today.
Seriously. Rhonda called it to the agenda. She said,
Yeah.
we got 28 items on the agenda. I said,
So most of the architects are not coming. They're gonna wait till May 18th to make a determination. And then some of them have brought a few people back, but they're thinking June 1 is when they're gonna come back too.
well, I mean,
She said,
a lot of stuff they do
the story of
by
budget
hand.
wages.
Well, I think that was
During the
part of it
Civil
too, is
War,
that they've discovered, hey,
every
it's working
city
from home.
would
Yeah, it can
have
actually work.
Nixon.
Architects are control freaks, so it was hard for them to let go and do it, but
I said, kids, the Pledge of Allegiance.
yeah,
That's why
Yeah.
the kids are there.
yeah.
In the
We're getting interrupted by all these people just walking by the office, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, true. And I said, yeah, it was ordered by President Grant.
And we're not getting that.
Yeah. I saw something tonight on the ABC News, and they were like, now that people have figured it out and that you can do it, that it's no longer gonna be a perk to work from home, it's gonna be a little bit of an expectation for some folks.
I've got a couple of guys that I'm afraid we may not ever get them back in.
Yeah.
They'll quit before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I maybe because I think more productive, like you said. I mean, I'll think of something at 9, 10 o'clock at night. Go for work.
So I was gonna say, so there's times when like during the day I might say, let me go sit in the car and watch and eat my lunch and take a little bit, but then at night I'll go work. So when it was all said and done, I was probably working more hours.
Yeah,
So we started for 6 weeks.
How do I want to do the Corps of
That's
Engineers?
the downside
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
workaholic.
That's exactly right.
Even though I've got a physical office that I shut the doors,
Silver
it's
Star.
just,
It's still, you're sitting
I
there like,
started
oh,
early,
it's
I
like,
do
there's
that.
nothing to do. I'm like, there's nothing to do. I'll just sit and go back to the office.
$6 million. So I can do that. Okay.
It's been more nice than I'll be sitting there and I'll think, oh, I got this ready or I left this off. And it's been really nice because then I just go
Yeah.
to my computer, ain't working on my phone or iPad. It's been really good.
Now, the kicker for me is, I mean, my dogs could be snoring, and as soon as I get on a Zoom
That's
call,
when we
they're gotta go outside.
That's really why we still have it.
I mean, as soon as that Zoom call kicks in.
Last time,
I brought one guy to the
couldn't
office
get
that
FEMA to pay us
calls. We use
right away
Teams.
because we
Okay.
were paying contract in place.
We'll get on a Teams meeting and while we're waiting for him to get there. There's one extra there. He's got 2 big dogs.
But you never know. I'm signing the wrong spot.
Oh, I thought you were coming up to tell us, hey, you guys need to get out of here. Oh, yeah, I just mean
Randy,
anything.
did you see me?
We haven't seen people in 6 weeks.
My wife says after her virtually every day. I'm this guy that I've told her all along, if anything ever happens to you, I'm going to Colorado, and people won't ever know. I really just see this way. And all of a sudden, about 3 weeks into this mess, I'm sitting there going,
My wife told me the other day I'd make the people.
hold on.
That's what I always said,
It used to be
my
much
dog.
better. Getting way too big.
My dogs.
I miss people. I kind of miss people other than the ones that are around me.
Yeah.
Well, in my inner circle, I missed those.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I would miss that as much as I do.
Yeah, I agree. And thanks for all the work on the 12th Street stuff.
Yeah. It's a no-win deal.
Well, I mean, the police chief is talking to the judge. The judge is in tune with what's going on.
Which judge?
Well, and I guess my argument too is, I mean, we're coming from South Rock. You know, I mean, you can't say, well, the residents, bought a house there, they should expect.
Reason I want that money to this health bill. That's our state senator, Dr. Weaver. She's the one that started that.
Oh, really?
That's exactly right. She was out of this move.
She knew it It's always good to support those.
Right, that's exactly right. Community organize a group to go out there. Oh, so it's at the end. I am 100% with that.
It's at 10 o'clock, it takes about 10 minutes. Most people
They're always.
It's disruptive. It gets to end. It doesn't have to. Yeah.
So you know what this is?
Oh, that's what I figured.
And like I said, I think eventually, especially if they're ticketing those that are causing problems and stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
I want to say that, but let me grab you.
I think it will, especially if
It's public recognizing.
yeah, that's kind of what I told folks. Like, look, we are taking
It's going to be nice. It's going to be a lot of money for us next year. And we're going to need. That stuff on the
Okay, I will, yeah.
There's a little agitation, but it's just how.
Yeah, it's not a ton, like I said, the last week I
I
had
got
like
like
5 or 6.
5 Texas while I was sitting there with that guy. Thanks for throwing street.
Jones?
I didn't turn on, all I did was respond and say, they put your email, I have the same concerns, and I'm looking into it, that's all.
That might have been the best email I've ever received on my
Well, then I might do this. They just want to do that because they're gonna. Yeah. Well, all you're doing is saying, we appreciate it.
He said,
So bad, what they want to do.
That's right.
I called him and we talked for 30
And
minutes.
then say,
I did. Super
the mayor's
nice
left
guy.
us,
He was super nice, not what I was expecting of his emails.
my wife's a teacher, and she was really mad.
Isn't the
They
That's
said,
what I
He
figured.
was, I don't know what his age was, but he said he's got marks on his door. He's been there so long, he's got marks on his door from his great grandchildren.
Okay,
I'm like,
yeah.
get in there.
My name's, I thought it was GLENN, Mayor of the city of Marshall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just
Glenn
wanted,
Lewis, the
I
city
mean,
of
I
he
think he
just
just
wanted
wants-
to know.
That we're,
because I didn't.
And that's what he
know.
just said. He said, you know, when I emailed the first time, I only got one response. He said, I just felt like the only avenue I had, I reached out and it wasn't, I didn't get any response.
He drug out my old
So just do like the regular one, it's just, I mean, the first one is the
social media shit out there. And quit thinking that's the way we need to.
Did you respond like a stage? I
Verbatim.
That's the reason why I didn't respond.
Louis, I just love to give Louis 30 minutes and no boundaries. Just go. You respond to all these. No, you can't.
That's my wife. I told my wife when I turned 60 to go for a stroke. If you're in my house, there are no
There is
filters.
a filter.
No filters.
There's not even a spot for a filter.
That's why when somebody calls on the phone, I have to get them to go outside. Because I know what's going to happen if I stay in the house.
Was that you and you talking last year? I think so. But the way they were talking, I didn't really
already have the social media.
You thank her and say,
I did.
Laura, where would we be without you?
I just get
Well,
mass.
and most of the time, they say
I got every kind of mask you think of. I have the N95 with penalties over there's a place over next to Dunkin' Donuts that they have,
nicest
they're
guy.
6 for $50.
I'm gonna go get one.
Just sweet. They're out.
I said, all I did was
Just
say,
get the
thank you for email, I share your concerns, and I'm looking into it, that's all it said, and I mean, you would have thought I like solved the world problem.
Oh, this is a different.
That's, I said, I
Yeah,
liked it
that
when
Bill
you were
Jones
there.
just
I was maybe
Coming out great, but it's.
Ms. Hunt excluded, and I was like, that's right.
This is a different. And he is, this one is an older gentleman. I mean, he's got great grandkids. What committee did we appoint the other Bill Jones to? Do you guys remember? He came in that night and we swore him in with David Roberts. Yes. But this one's different. Yeah.
Different person.
Yeah. He, I mean, his email, didn't leave me a think he was gonna be a nice guy. But he was-
That's the reason why, that was one of the ones, I'm gonna have to let that one set for a few days before I respond, so. So they're waiting till 10 o'clock, they're closing down, they're diverting the traffic. So they sent us, saying, okay, you're done for the night. So that's all we did. It's not a whole bunch.
I got 7 emails from people on 12th Street while we were sitting there. They say, you don't want to hear what these people have to say. They want to know what car you're driving, where you're parked. So they're going to come see you. How big a boy are you? He didn't answer my question. Why don't you go to church?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Hopefully you got the message, That was, Mayor, that was one of the best things you've ever said in all these meetings I've attended, so.
What?
Reading off that email. That was great.
Just read it for next time.
Yeah, it should have from, actually, there's only, that's about 50 words, there's only 3 of them I can read out loud. I was like, that's not really good. It's like, oh, they're watching, that's good. People are watching. Yeah.
I always wonder.
Well, it's a little more entertaining TV.
Well, apparently they don't have anything else to watch. That's the deal. And what is the basketball show? Was it wasn't on tonight? What is it?
Last Dance.
Yeah, Last Dance.
Have y'all opened back up yet?
No, we do that tomorrow. We're going to do it by appointment.
Okay.
Tim says we've got like 8 or 9 appointments.
Something's coming up, maybe
Yeah.
buy some stuff.
Yeah, he's got to sell a 3 carat and a 4 carat. So I know he's been up there working and doing this hustling.
Randy,
Good
have a
night.
nice gentleman.
Good night. It was like $60,000, $80,000 plan. So. Yeah, you guys done good. One of them's for Mrs. Stoughton Key. Big time. It's a big it's bigger. Yeah, we made it. We custom made the brand. We sold it. It's bigger. But I don't even know. It's like I heard somebody get fined one.
Worked up there, they have a big, kind of a driveway, then you know, a big chunk of grass, and they put in new sod, 18-wheeler, put in new sod, and then it wasn't green enough. So they had a different kind, and pulled all that up, and it's brand new.
Hey,
If you got some money, I guess you can.